So here's the last problem on the 6B.0 notes. Now this is calculating your box and whisker information, so like your median, your Q1, Q3, and you can calculate your mean and your range as well as your standard deviation. So this is your one variable statistics using the graphing calculator. So using this data, we're going to plug it into the graphing calculator. So what we're going to do first, as it says here in the red, enter the data in list L1. So you're going to go to Stat, press Edit, and here you want to make sure that your numbers are in L1. So I'm going to clear this information, and I'm going to put in the information here. Now your points, unlike what we had to do before, do not have to be in order. So all I am doing here is putting what I have exactly here into my L1. That's all you need to do. You don't need to write it in numerical order. So I put in some points here. So then we have 51, and then 54, 58, 40, and then 52. Don't worry about the other lists. They will not come up when we are trying to find our one variable statistics. Now going back, it says now we're going to press Stat again and then choose Calc so we can select the one var stats. So that means I go back to the Stat key, I move over to Calc, and notice it's right on the number one variable. This just says var, that means variable, and stats, that means statistics. So I press Enter here. Make sure your list is on L1, press enter, make sure calculate is highlighted, and then here's your information. Now this is where it becomes a little difficult because you need to read what this means. So our first thing is we want to find the mean, okay? Well, in order to find the mean here, we have to know what symbol it represents on our calculator. Remember, mean is this X bar, so that's what it represents. So the X bar is, and let's round to 2 decimal places, so our mean is 48.78. So I'm going to put that here. So remember, X bar is the same thing as our mean. And our answer here is 47. Whoops, that was a little weird. There we go. Is 48, sorry, it should be 48, and we're going to round to 78. Okay, next thing is we do our median. Now here on the calculator, and you'll see, if we kind of scroll down a little bit, it's going to tell us what the median is. It says med. That means median. So our answer here is 48. Okay, next thing is finding the range. Now in order to find the range, remember, we do our maximum value minus our minimum value. So we have to go to our calculator, figure out our min, which is 40, and figure out our max, which is 58. And what we have to do is subtract our minimum from our maximum. So our max was 58. We're going to subtract it from our minimum, which was 40. And so our range is 18. Our next thing is what we're going to find is our Q1. Now here, it's going to tell you right on the calculator, Q1, and that's 44.5. So that's our answer. Remember, that's our lower quartile. So 44.5. Then we're going to figure out Q3. Once again, you can just figure this out right from the calculator. Q3, we can see it's 53. So we're going to go ahead and put that in. And lastly, our standard deviation. Now remember, we used sigma to represent our standard deviation. On the calculator, they're actually going to use here the sigma and the x to represent standard deviation. So whenever you see the sigma sign in x, that's our standard deviation. And here, this will be about 5.27. So I'm going to write that here. So this is x. This really represents standard deviation, and we got about 5.27. So that's basically how you use the graphing calculator to find the one variable statistics for a set of data. Remember, if you have any questions, make sure you come in before or after school, or you can email me.